Hi, it's Richard, the founder of Conscious Marketer, and welcome to the podcast today. I'm joined by Kylie. Hi, Kylie.
Hey.
And today we thought we would talk about when an offer is not converting, what to do. And this happens occasionally where somebody will come to us in a crisis and say, I spent all this money and all this time and I created this offer and it's not working. I will mention this rarely happens to us because we know all the elements, but occasionally even we get caught off guard and maybe something isn't converting and we have to kind of like dig in and say, why is this the case? And so we thought we would give you 3 places to look if you have an offer out there. It could be an existing program, or this could also be a way that you look at your current offer that you're thinking of launching to avoid having to have that crisis meeting where you're like, what's going on? I put all this time and energy in and it's not working. So the first place we look, there's 3 things we look at in particular when something isn't doing well and isn't converting well. And the first place that we like to look is we like to look at the brand hero or the avatar. And sometimes people haven't done the right research or they're not speaking the right language. So there's a lot of mistakes that somebody can make. And basically this is who you're selling your products to. And a lot of times people will kind of skip over this part. They think they know their customer. They won't do the interviews. They won't do kind of the brand hero sheets that we have inside our thing. And what happens often is there's another thing called the expert curse so there's a lot of different things to look at when we're just looking at the brand hero and the avatar. And I'm kind of curious, Kylie, when you've seen maybe some products out there that have got this wrong, what are some things that you've seen that people miss?
Well, there's a couple of things in the transformational space in particular, because I don't see this in sort of businesses that lay outside of it quite as much. There is this desire to serve more than one avatar. Yep. So a question I get all the time is, could I have more than one avatar? Could I have more than one avatar? I want to help this person. It's for all these people. I want to help these people. And what I see regarding that is, yes, you can, and you're going to double, triple, quadruple your work because you can't speak to all those people at once. Right. Or if you try to, it waters it down too much. It really, really does. And so that's one thing. The second thing I'll say today, and there's a lot more that I could say about this, is just that there's one aspect from the avatar process that I have come up with over 10 years of writing copy and telling stories. And that is really understanding that your avatar is coming to you to solve a specific problem. And we need to really understand why they haven't solved that problem yet. Because I can almost guarantee you they've tried 5, 10, 20 times to solve that problem. Hasn't been solved yet. So we need to know why. So it's kind of the difference between saying, do you want to eat healthy or do you want to lose weight? And then saying, in the last 2 years, have you tried keto, paleo, green juice, smoothies, fasting, intermittent fasting, the bulletproof diet, and it didn't work for you? Well, I'm not surprised it didn't work for you because diets depend on your ancestry. And so if you get this genetic testing, then you're going to know what kind of food you need to eat, right? So it's like the difference between saying, hey, is your food thing not working for you? And like, that's so boring and non-specific. Or understanding there's a reason that this hasn't worked before. There's things that they've tried before that did not work. And then going in there, being really, really specific about it, and then giving them a reason why it didn't work. I think that people don't know to do that. So it's not really a mistake. Having more than one avatar is a mistake because people know better. But this is something a lot of people don't know. And that's why I told you about it today, because if you have that information, I believe that's the difference between a 6 and a 7-figure campaign, or it's also the difference between not getting your stuff off the ground and getting it off the ground.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And there's this desire, like you said, in the transformation space, and who's the product for? And if somebody says it's for everybody, it's like kryptonite to marketing because you got to be specific.
Why they don't have what they say they want, kind of why they haven't solved their problem.
Right. Yeah. And the second thing, why they're not solving their problem and, is what you're giving to the avatar different. I would add a third in, which is kind of what I call, or what's known in the industry as the expert's curse. And the expert's curse is that you've done something for so long that you kind of forget what it's like to learn it anew. And so you're speaking maybe either language that's too advanced, or have lost the feeling of what somebody's going through at the time that you went through way back when, because there's so much distance. After you've taught 1,000 people, it's hard to remember what it was like when you first learned it and are sharing it. And so sometimes I see this with the avatar, that people have forgot what it's like to be a beginner or even intermediate person. And even myself, if I'm teaching maybe some of the foundational things within internet marketing, like lead gen and some of the things that are so important, I have to really take myself back like 15 years, and put myself in the shoes of that avatar and go, am I really connecting? And if you can do that, if you can kind of have the empathy and understand what it's like that person's going through, then the key thing is you're going to be able to speak the right language to them and connect to the avatar in that way.
Yeah, I love that. And that really ties into how I teach messaging and storytelling, because people always want to share their story, or they don't want to share their story because they're nervous. But when they do choose to tell their story, it's kind of about them and what they want to share. Right. And I always teach people, reverse engineer from that journey that your avatar is on and what they're really looking for and what they're really wanting and needing and all of that kind of stuff. And then share a time in your own life where you kind of went through that and came out on the other side. And if you don't have a crystal clear, specific parallel, you can still find a time where you felt that way and you moved into a different feeling state. So even the storytelling and even the messaging that we put into our offers and our launches and all of that has to relate to who they are and what they're going through, and not so much what I want to share about myself in that given moment, which may or may not land. Maybe it does, but it's not very scientific.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that first element, if we're looking at an offer that's not performing well, we're going to look at the brand hero, the avatar, the customer you're trying to reach. Are you really talking to them? And have you figured it out? Did you skip over that step? A lot of people skip over the step and they just think they know. And often that's a mistake. So assuming that you look at the offer and you're like, okay, no, we've got it dialed in. I've got my singular avatar. Then we're going to move on to the offer. We're going to go, okay, let's take a look at this offer. Let's look at the page. And we have our own conscious offer formula. We have like a short version and a long version. We have templates for videos that we use. And so we kind of have, we can think through this methodically, but what we'll do here is just pick out some main ways that offers can go wrong. I would say one thing that I look at when I look at offers is at what altitude is the offer. And the mistake that some offers make is that they're too general and they're not. So we'd say it's at 30,000 feet. And what you want to do is land it lower, like 5,000, 3,000 feet. So if somebody wants to say, get fit and maybe lose some weight on an offer, that might be 20,000 feet. You have to dial down and say, okay, why do they want to get fit? It's like, well, it's because they don't feel so good. Why don't they feel so good? Well, it's because, their partner made a comment about them and maybe they aren't connecting with their partner as much. Or maybe they're worried that, their partner's looking at somebody else, so like the more you can know about, it's kind of circles back around with the offer, but we're going to the avatar, but we're looking at what altitude is the offer written toward, and are you getting granular on like what your person really needs and wants in whatever you're offering.
I love that. And also, as far as offers go, I think it's important to look around in your market and your space and your niche to see what else might be out there. And it's not to change your offer. You may offer the same thing as other people. It's totally fine. It's more about differentiating and making sure that you position your offer in a way that nobody has ever seen before. And really, in my opinion, you do that through the front end messaging. You make sure that your message is different than what other people are saying out there. And one really great way to do that is through your story and also telling their story in a sense. because nobody does have that. That is I always believe in business, your story is your number one asset. Because if people don't buy into who you are and what it is that you're offering, they won't go any further than that front end message. Maybe that's a social media post, maybe it's a landing page or an ad. If they don't see that front and center and they're like, oh, I've seen this before, I've seen this before, I've seen this before. It used to be called banner blindness back when there was banner ads on Google. I remember people used to call it banner blindness because they saw so many banners that they didn't even look at them anymore. And so having the right message and having the right story is going to lift you above that phenomena, and people will then lean in, be interested in learning more. And even if they've seen it before, they haven't seen it before in quite that way, which really builds trust and allows you to sell with a lot more ease.
Yeah, I love that singular question. How is my offer unique, or how does it stand out? And then using your story as a way to differentiate, because everybody has a different story. That's really powerful. And then your story and your client's story. With offers, I can tell you the mistake that I've made a few times in my career. And it's something I always check for now when I'm looking at our own and other landing pages. It's really easy to get kind of drawn in by the stuff you're creating, like all the bonuses and all the different things. And hey, I'm giving you 14 hours of content and all these videos, and you get access to this special platform and all this stuff. And so this is the mistake is called selling the stuff. And the solution or the antidote to selling the stuff is you sell the transformation and helping people create a solution to some pain point. And so the offer isn't around the stuff. They probably don't care how many hours of content. In fact, the more hours, they might even see that as a negative. Like, oh my God, that's so many hours of content. I'm never going to consume that. Or the video, or that you're on some special platform, or how pretty your logo is. What they care is, can you deliver the transformation? In fact, I told my fitness trainer one day, I was like, look, I know I'm supposed to be 45-minute workout. Can you get the same result in 20 minutes? I'd rather have a shorter workout than a longer workout. Just work me harder. So, so occasionally I'll look at an offer and go, you're just talking about all this stuff, and you got to flip it and think about the transformation that you're giving your people. It's just a place to look. And the more you can move away and just realize that the stuff is just a container, it's just a vehicle to deliver, it's not actually what you're doing, then it's really an important checkbox to mark off.
Absolutely. One of the first things that I heard when I came online was nobody buys a drill, they buy a hole in the wall. And I'm so glad I heard that as one of the first things in marketing, because I didn't have to struggle through trying to sell drills. Not that I ever probably would be a great spokesperson for drills, because I think
you could probably sell some drills if you really wanted to.
I don't know how to use one, so I don't know. I probably I probably missed the little pencil dot on the wall by a couple inches. But anyways, that to me was really my first lesson in really what Richard is talking about, which is features versus benefits. So you can, and if you look at any of the sales pages that he writes, the features are there, but they're not until you've bought into the transformation and you've bought into the benefits. Because once people see, okay, that's how I'm going to transform, then their logic mind kicks in and they're like, okay, emotionally, I'm totally bought into this. But on a logical level, I'm not so much. Our friend Travis, I don't know if he says his last name Sago or Sago, but I think it's Sago. We're real good friends. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's cool. I used to write copy for his agency, and he calls it child, adult, parent, which actually one of my mentors, Dean, has told me that comes from transactional analysis. And it's basically like the child mind gets super excited about an offer. It's like, oh my God, I want that so bad. And then that critical parent will kick in and say, you can't have it. No, it's not going to be good for you. And that's where those features can come in to soothe that part of the brain that wants that logical, like, am I actually getting something of substance? Am I getting, am I actually and that's where you say, oh, you get this private members area, or, oh, you get this, or, oh, you get that. And I do agree with Richard. And when I buy stuff, I buy like this. I get super overwhelmed if I see like 20, 30, 40, 50 hours. I'm like, oh. So you kind of have to position that the time that they're investing is going to get them something greater than that time that they're investing. So maybe it's that they save time. In our Conscious Launch Accelerator, to me, we're saving people 10 to 20 years of having to go out there and learn, because the information in that course is actually accumulated wisdom from 25 collective years of doing this and painstaking amounts of hours, 50, 60 hour weeks in my beginning of my career. And so you've always got to position that the reward is greater than the risk. And that's just something that I think about with features. Like, people want to sink their teeth into that there's something there of substance after they've bought into the transformation. But they also, like Richard said, can I do this in 20 minutes? Yeah. Most people are really busy, and we have to remember that when we're selling.
Well, with offers too, we've launched hundreds of offers. So definitely that's one of our magic kind of unique points. You can't run an agency, a successful agency like we do in the niche that we do, without really understanding offers. And like I said, we have a worksheet. I think we have 20 plus items. So you could be off on pricing. You could have the wrong guarantee. So there's a lot of places you can go wrong on offers. But I think some of these ones that we've just talked about are if you have those right, then you've got a shot, and then you can kind of look around and look at the other parts of the offer. So we've talked about avatar, and then we just kind of did a good overview of offers, and we could talk hours and hours and hours on offers. I think this is like an endless topic. But let's get to the third place we're going to look if a launch isn't going well. And the third place we're going to look is the actual email list and the relationship that somebody has with their email list. And I think there's two primary aspects to an email list, and I'll talk about the first aspect and then pass the harder one to get to Kylie, and she can talk about that one. So the first aspect is, how big is the list, and so I think I personally believe, and you can believe this or not, but I think it's a mistake to launch a membership site unless if your list isn't big enough. And so sometimes people will have like a list of, say 200-300 people, and they're trying to launch a membership site. And then they get 15 people to sign up on a $50 offer. And it takes so much energy and time to, support that offer for a membership site for 15 people. It may not be worth it, And so the list has to be big enough to support whatever offer. Now, a list of 300 people, if you did a high-end offer that was, say $10,000 a person, and you converted 15 people, that looks pretty good. That's $150,000, But if it's like a $20 membership and you convert 15 people, that doesn't look as good on a monthly basis. So I think the first thing we're going to look at is the list big enough? Because say 300 people and you had 15 people sign up, that's a 5% conversion. A 5% conversion is okay. So you may need to work to build the list so your offer may not be the problem in this case. It just could be that you need a larger list to market the offer to. Because if you have a 5% conversion on a membership site, as an example, if your list is 20,000 people, that starts to look really good. Sometimes I think people don't realize the impact of list size, or they create offers that maybe doesn't support it. That's why sometimes we encourage people to, when they have smaller lists, to do higher end offers, because you don't need to sell as many programs. And then say you have a $2,000 offer and you sell 10, that's $20,000. Then what you do is you take the $20,000 and you invest 10,000 of that back into lead gen, and you use that to grow your list. So it's a way to kind of grow your list so that you can create offers that sell. So that's the first thing, list size. We're going to look at list size, and your conversion rate on the offer might be great, but if your list size isn't big enough, then that's not good. I'm going to pass it over to Kylie, and she's going to talk about the second aspect of your list, and when you're looking to your list, how you might want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this applies also to a Facebook group or social media platform as well, so long as you are selling there. And to me, it's really taking the time to cultivate the right relationship. And it's also getting your own energy right. So if I go to market and sell something and I don't hit it and I don't get to where I wanted to go, the first place I look is, what's my magnetism? What's my energy? What's my own personal frequency, vibration, not to get too like woo here, but it's true because people can feel that. And Richard talks about this a lot where you don't want to be needy. So if you're like, this launch needs to work or this offer needs to sell, like nobody got time for that. So, or desire either. And for me, it's really taking that time to nurture that relationship and build that value all year long, and not just when you're going to sell. And so for me personally, one of the ways that I do that is I'm not that great about emailing my list, honestly, but I am really, really good about being present on social media and creating a presence there. And so one of the things I do, because the people that I'm working with, that I've been working with for a long time, they feel like this stuff is out of grasp for them. And they look at all these influencers and they see all of this shiny object syndrome and all this, like people with hundreds of thousands of followers who have the perfect body and the perfect life and the great makeup and just the muscles and, you know, rub down in oil Lamborghinis. And they see all this and they're like, first of all, that's not for me. Second of all, even if I wanted my own version of it, it's totally unattainable. And so I just kind of share my internal journey of what it's like for me being an entrepreneur, being a marketer. And that's very magnetic for people because it's very real. So I'm not oversharing. If I have a bad day, I'm not like, hey, everybody, I had a bad day and let me tell you something about it. No, it's more about just saying, look, this is hard for me too. You know, I have to work really hard to do this, and sometimes it doesn't work. And here's my first big failure, and that was a good story. I tell that story on the Michael Haig bonus in the Conscious Launch Accelerator, and he helps me pull that story out. Actually, he's like, "When did you epically fail?" And I was like, "Let me tell you something about that." And so it's just really being real with people. It's being honest. We have a woman in our group right now who had cancer and overcame cancer. And she's working with people with cancer and cancer survivors. And she shares what that process was like for her emotionally, you know, not just on a external level of like, how do you deal with this? What's the cure? It's more like, these are the things I went through. This is what my family dealt with. And if you're suffering in that way, that's very attractive. So, you know, not that you have to have cancer. I'm just a digital marketer. I'm just a storyteller. I just tell people how I struggle through that stuff. And so that's a really important thing for you to do, or at least that's how I build that relationship and that value. There's hundreds of ways that you could do it. So find the way that really resonates with you and then just start to do it every day. 10, 15 minutes a day, be of service. I think it was Robert Kiyosaki or Tony Robbins, or I'm not endorsing either of them. I don't know them, but they said, if you want to get wealthy, look for somebody to go serve. And I really stand by that.
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of coming back to our topic, I think what Kylie is saying is you really need to develop a connection with your list. And it means, you know, sending them emails. It means posting on social media. Sometimes it's Facebook Lives. And so if you have a list and you're not in relationship with that list, and in connection with that list, then when you go to make your offer, then it's going to affect your offer, basically. But if you're in relationship with a person on an ongoing basis, like Kylie is just talking about, then people are going to open the email and your offer has a chance. But if you know, the only time I mean, we all have people that call us occasionally, and we know when they're calling, they need something from us, right? And then we have other friends who call us to see how we're doing and just to check in on us, and maybe even offer something or invite us out to dinner. And you can hear it when somebody is approaching you, and the only time they approach you is when they need something. And you see this even with some of the biggest marketers. They only connect when they're in that launch period. And over time, what happens is you burn your lists. And so it doesn't matter what your list size is. And the hard part there is it's so expensive these days actually to build your list and to create community. It's a shame that when you have somebody, you won't nurture them, you know, I don't know, adopting a child or a dog and then, you know, like just not giving them attention, you know, ever. and then expecting that, hey, I want to teach you something now. And they're like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I could go on and on about different ways to build your list. I was just starting to think about that, but we're not going to go there in today's episode. We'll do that in another episode. And my just hope for you and in all of these episodes is that we're able to kind of give you a little bit of insight into what you can be doing to grow, and that there's at least a couple of things that are actionable that you can go out and start to do right away. And so hopefully you did receive some of that today, and we just appreciate you so much.
Yeah. And this lens, when you're looking at your offers, you can look at current offers and you can look at it and say, how do I improve an offer? You can look at an offer you're planning, and you can think through some of the things we talked about here, about avatar and offer and, the relationship you have with your lists. If you focus on those three parts, you can really, this is how, these bigger launches happen. It's because people, or when you go through your launch, you've thought through all of these things. So anyway, thanks so much for being here today. And like Kylie said, we're just trying to give you some value so that you can take this and use it in your business. We do have our signature program is the Conscious Launch Accelerator. You can go to consciousmarketer.com/accelerator. We're creating some amazing results with the people in there. You would work with Kylie and I directly. So check it out if you haven't already. And in the meantime, go leave a podcast review if you like this podcast, if you got something. And you can get the episode on consciousmarketer.com/podcast. Thanks for joining us today. And we will be with you next time. Thanks, Kylie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.